Hooyah, hooyah, hooyah. Caught up on the other side. Sound check. We good over there, Jer? Get over there, hot dog, hot dog. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back. It's been a hot minute. Welcome back to the 65th episode of the Swift and SwiftUI Learnalong. It's been a long journey, brother. We're gonna keep on going. There is one thing I'd like to do real quick. Am I showing? Yes, I am. Am I showing, bro? Let me pause that up. So trying to see where I saw it. Comments. Maybe it was on Kick. Well, darn. Well, whatever. But I know I responded. I don't remember what platform it was on. I thought it was YouTube. I guess not. But anyway, someone left a very nice comment. And just wanted to say thank you, brother. Thank you, and that I appreciate that. And I will keep going, in part, thanks to you. That's all. I just wanted to say that real quick. I did want to show it, but yeah, dang. That's the downside, though, to streaming to like 8 platforms. But you know, that's the laugh of the little guy trying to come up. But yeah, anyway, so we're gonna actually let's start with the. It was on Twitter. The nice comment you got. Oh, thanks, babe. You're on it. Twitter, okay. Well, anyway, some nice gentleman. I'm actually, yeah, I'm afraid to open my Twitter on screen, but yeah, somebody said, "You're my hero, bro." No, I'm kidding. They didn't say that. No, they said, "You're my role model. I actually wanted to do something like what you're doing, and I think that what you're doing has promise. Keep going." That's what it said. And I thanked the brother. But no, really, thank you. Appreciate that. And also, I would just encourage anybody, not just for me, although feel free to send me nice things. But yeah, if you have a thought about anything, about anybody, I would just encourage you to share those thoughts, provided it's not malicious. But, you know, I think if anything that you're going to say is at risk of being offensive, that's okay. As long as you don't say it with the intent to be offensive, because then you are being malicious. But aside from that, I would just encourage you to share your thoughts, because, you know, sometimes we don't, especially us men, right? Sometimes we just don't say things because we don't want to share our feelings or whatever. But that really gave me a big boost, so I appreciate that. And I would encourage you guys to just share your feels like that man did. Appreciate that, brother. Okay, now let's get to it. Let's go to the little intro, and I can talk you through what the deal is here. For the uninitiated, where is it? Here it is. Fucking Edge. Okay. So, general theme of the stream, real quick, just to show you what we've done, where we've been, where we're going, yada yada. So the intent of this stream is to A, learn Swift, B, build an actual product that will be sold for profit. That's right, brother, for profit. And it will not be open source, but, you know, the learning is, I guess technically it could be open source if you wanted to, like, steal all the janky code, but I don't think that'll profit you very much. I wouldn't encourage that, but I guess you could do it. But yeah, that's the intent here. So it's to learn and have you guys be a fly on the wall. So I'm not talking at you. There's not a direct interaction. Uh, more more just fly on the wall experience. You're learning, literally learning along. So I don't do any of the learning off stream. Everything's been done on stream with respect to Swift. And with that being said, the first 46 episodes, if you want to get caught up, so we've already gone through this 800-page book on Swift proper, going through every aspect of the language, and we used a book from the Big Nerd Ranch. So if you don't know who they are, just Google Big Nerd Ranch guides. They do a lot of technical guides, a lot of technical books, programming, stuff like that. They're really good books. I like their teaching style because it's great for beginners because they're very nuanced. They don't assume you know anything almost. So it can be a bit slow to get off or slow to get going for that reason. But overall, I think it's great, especially if you're learning your first language. So yeah, big ups to Big Nerd Ranch guy. But anyway, if you want to get caught up, you can go to YouTube. This channel right here at Nico X Narration has all of the live recordings, and they go in sequence, like I said. So episode 1 through 46 is covering that, the Swift language proper, going through all the different features. Okay, now we're on SwiftUI, and we are using some literature from Big Mountain Studio. And what's cool about these guys is they actually encourage, because I was kind of concerned if at first, that these might get taken down, my first 46, just because from what I could tell, I mean, it's a little bit fuzzy, but fair use kind of covers what I was doing, but also kind of doesn't. So it really would be up to Big Nerd Ranch if they came across them, but I don't think it's a big deal. It's not like I'm giving away copies, right? But I'm just reading the book to you guys and then doing the work on screen. To me, it's still not the same, but it doesn't really matter. And they've not taken me down, so I'm not going to complain. But Big Mountain Studio is actually a little more intentional about content creators. They actually invite you to make content based off their content, their literature. So these are amazing books. I really appreciate them for that. All they ask is that you give them a shout out. So that's what I'm doing right now. So bigmountainstudio.com. And also we're going to look just, what's the problem here? It's not my email. Maybe not showing my password would be good. Really? Oh, is it my iCloud? Weird. I don't normally use that. Okay. Anyway, so this is what we're working on right now, Swift Data Mastery. And, in SwiftUI, which that part is important. So this is the only book that I could find that had the latest frameworks, meaning like learning material available on the latest frameworks, which is Swift Data and SwiftUI. Other books that I found, I probably looked at 15 other sites that, it looks like they have good content, but a lot of it was centered around UIKit and Core Data, which are the predecessors. And since I have zero intention of being employed as just an iOS dev, like a plugin dev, to just work for some company. I just want to build this application, meaning I have no intention of learning Storyboard, UIKit, Core Data, because I don't want to learn old technologies that I don't need to. So it's as simple as that. So if you're looking for something that's going to cover that, this stream is not that. That's really the only reason that I'm saying it. And the other reason is, if you look at these books, so of course we're on Swift Data right now. On this stream, more than likely, I'm going to come back and do this SwiftUI animations also. But there's a lot more here, so you can just come check it out. But a lot of good stuff here. Now, oh wait, they got a bundle? Mm, well, I'll contemplate that later. I wish I would have known that. Damn, okay. Well, whatever. But Big Mountain Studio, bundle or not, it's still been a great value. So, yeah, it looks like we're 29% of the way through. So, these books, they do give you a code or all the code samples. So, there's 3 workable apps that we're going to build out throughout the process of going through this book. So far, from what I can tell, it's not like, let me just show you some of it real quick because it's really visual and really easy to follow along. Actually, let me not lose my spot. Where was I? Shoot. Model container 158. Okay. Yeah, so let me show you this slide because this is a, there's one called Flow, the Flow. Let me find it. But it summarizes what we're doing throughout the course of this book because we're really doing the same things over and over again with just different examples. Oh, there it is right there, the flow. Yeah. So the data model is one component of it, which would be, I mean, all of it is in terms of SwiftUI and Swift data, but we've already learned most of what the data model looks like in terms of what we would use for it, which would just be Swift types. So we've already seen a lot of that, the type system. So that would be the data model. So we would describe it in types, enums, structs, and classes. It can be a combination of those things. Although in SwiftUI itself, like in SwiftUI, the interface that we interact with is on classes, and it has to be. But we'll get into that. That's just nuance, so don't worry about that. Okay, so there's a data model, which is just the type system. Then there's the container, which the container is Swift data. So you can just think of it as the way they describe it is just like a toolbox, a framework of different tools that SwiftUI and Swift data provide to us to create these interfaces and the interactions of the data with the interfaces. So that's the container. The context is effectively during runtime. So once you start your app, it's a pre-allocated space in memory where all of the data that you're currently working with is going to live. So it's effectively the, well, quite literally the context. So the context in which your app is running in memory on the device or whatever device that you're running it on. And then there's the view, which of course is the interface, what we interact with as the end user. And so all throughout the book, we're just going through different iterations of how we can manipulate these different things. And so now we can get back to where we were. Now it's been a hot minute. I think maybe over a week since the last time. So bear with me. But yeah, we're just gonna keep going through it, and then if I have the energy at the end of, I'm sure I will. Feeling pretty good today, brother. But I'm fed. Got caffeine in my body. Water, took a dump already. I should be good, man. Although I got a knot in my wrist, but we're not going to worry about that right now. Although I really want to get it. But yeah, we're going to get caught up. And then at the end, I want to go through some of the cool, there's some really bitchin' tools that I bought for Swift. So it's actually been kind of difficult to persevere through the book, only because I know, like, everything that we're learning here, the cool thing about SwiftUI, since it's declarative, people have already built some really good, and we'll look at them. Really good, really expensive tools that let you just build UIs. It does it for you. So anyway, we'll look at those. But yeah, they're just so dang cool. But yeah, we'll look at all of them. So there's an animation one called Fabula that we'll look at. There's one called SwiftUI Companion that is for building the actual interfaces. And then there's one called Interact, which is actually or Interactful, which is actually an iPad first app, but it's designed for developers, and it's really neat. I'll show you all about it. But okay, so model container. Let's get started. The model container holds most of your settings for Swift data and how your data is used in your app. There are multiple ways to set it up and use it. In this chapter, you will learn various ways to set up your model container and the different settings you can configure for Swift data. And actually, I need to, I suppose, open Xcode. And also, oh, that's what I was going to do. Well, we can do that too later. We'll do that. I just want to get some of this stuff covered. But if you've been under a rock for the past couple of weeks, you know, Apple has their annual developers conference, the WWDC 2024. So that happened. So they announced a bunch of stuff about Swift 6 and Xcode updates, SwiftUI updates, lots of cool stuff. But mainly what I wanted to look at was the cross-platform aspect. So now you can, like, Windows is officially supported. Building Linux apps is officially supported. Now you don't even need a runtime on Windows, which is really cool. So, I mean, theoretically, your Swift install would be less hefty on a Windows or Linux machine as opposed to one on Apple, just because you're not getting all the old Objective-C stuff too, which is kind of neat. So anyway, but we'll see how. I'm curious how smooth it is, you know, because I hear that a lot. You know, I've tried a lot of languages, and probably the only one, like, okay, so I've tried Zig, Odin, Rust, Elixir, of course, JavaScript, Golang. I don't know if I said Zig, but Zig. There was one more. OCaml, yeah. And oddly, I mean, out of all of those, the only ones they all purport to be, you know, you can run them on any platform, meaning Windows, Mac, you know, or Linux. And the only ones that really held up across the board were OCaml and I guess technically Elixir. Elixir's just dog shit slow though, so I don't really it wasn't really like really ever gonna be the tool that I was looking for. I just kind of was curious about the hype, but that quickly fettered out. But yeah, I want to look and see how good, quote unquote good, Swift can be on those platforms too. Just getting it set up, you know, see what that's like. Because apparently they've also put in some, they being the core Swift team, have put in some reasonable effort into the VS Code plugin. So I've kind of been curious about alternative methods of developing in Swift. You know, how much do we really need Xcode? Yeah, so I want to dig into that a little bit too, but we'll do that at the end. Okay, chapter quick links, model. Okay, we don't need to look at that. All right, the model for this chapter, we're going to use the simple model that describes a friend. Oh, it is in a file called friendmodel.swift in the companion project. All right. Oh, I thought I clicked that. Couldn't be open because the volume. Okay. Yeah, this happened earlier. I had this 2 terabyte NVMe inside. You know, you can buy those hubs, sometimes USB hubs, and they can also, they have a little mount for a NVMe SSD, and it broke. So I had to move all my shit off of there. That was cool. And now it's like really broke. Like it doesn't even register. You can't even see it. This is a different drive, but yeah, that's always fun. But anyway, I think it's in here. Yeah. Let's go ahead and open that up, brother. Friendmodel.swift. Get rid of the preview. What is that? Control, Option, Enter. And I suppose I can turn my Keystroke Pro back on. There we go. Models, friend model. we got? So model macro, which I've almost completely forgotten what that brings. So let's see. Converts a Swift class into a stored model that is managed by Swift data. Okay. Conformances to observable. This is really the only one I remember. I don't think we've even learned this one, the attached. Persistent model, I can guess what that means, but I don't think we've covered it. But that should just mean, because these are conformances, right? So these are just protocols that it adheres to, which would mean, like, observable would mean that it'll set up the pipeline for us where the bindings between the data in the context, so the data in memory that's hooked into our UI elements, is reactive in a sense. So if a dependency changes or the user changes the view in some way, it will, consider it dirty and then re-render it with the updated data. So it does all that for you. So we're not writing manual code to, for event listeners and shit like that. If you've ever done web applications, that's I'm sure it's implemented a little bit differently, but it's basically the same context or concept, not context. So that's observable. And then persistent model, I would assume, allows it to be written to disk. So if you wanted to develop your app and actually have data get saved to disk, that way it doesn't all get blown away every time you, kill your app, then that would be the case there. Overview. Annotate your model classes with the model macro to make them persistible. At build time, the macro expands to provide conformance to persistent model and observable. Oh, so I wonder, well, okay, we won't postulate too long, but okay, so model, here's the class, here's some properties, which are just some strings, and we have an attribute. What is attribute? Man, I don't remember any of this stuff. Attribute. Original name, hash. Specifies the custom behavior that Swift data applies to the annotated property when managing the owning class. To the annotated property. Specifies. Oh, meaning, okay. So this is wrapped, and we're saying that the image data, in this case, since we can't work directly with images, we got to turn it into data and then render it and then turn it back into data. We're saying this would be managed in an external storage, not on disk, maybe, I suppose. Yeah, that makes sense, because you'd have to go grab it. Okay. Then we have the initializer. So that's straightforward enough. I remember that. And then some extensions. Okay. Yep. Oh, dear God. Okay, here's the first function. Import friends. It's asynchronous. Throws, keyword, so we can handle errors. Guard let, meaning break out of the function if this isn't true. And then here's what we want to do if things are all good. If not, just throw error, whatever. I guess whatever the default is, because we're not defining a particular thing to do with the error. Or we're not saying in particular what error should do. I assume they tell you somewhere what the default error message is, or we could just look and see and run it and see, but we have seen that before. But you can have custom implementations. Change to non-isolated to work within a, is it safe? Yes, because it is only reading, delivering data. Okay, well, it makes some sense. So that's good enough for me. All right, so that is friend model. Extension. We have an extension property for the name of the friend, which combines the first name and last name into a person named components object. combines it. Extension friend model, var view name. Yeah, view name. Person name components. That's the type. Person name component. And it just creates an instance of person name components. Given name, first name, family name. Which is, oh wait, that's just the parameter's name. So the given name, we pass in the first name, which comes from the class here. And then family name, which is last name from here. Okay. Using a person name components object will give you a lot of different formatting options in SwiftUI, such as displaying the name abbreviated, initials, short, first name only. Yeah, wait. I'm not tired, you're tired. And medium, first and last name. Okay, preview property with mock data. Another extension, friend model, main actor, so it runs on the main thread. Static var, so this is a type property, accessible even if there's not an instance of it. Type model container. And then these are all method calls that we get from Swift data. So we can actually insert this data into context, into memory, and actually see them in our view. And then we return the container with all that stuff in it. Okay. Here's the preview property for this model that returns the model container and creates the mock data. This will be used so the previews have mock data to display. For example, and there's the macro for preview. So this is, we learned this is strictly for Xcode, the hash preview, my view, model container, and then we just call out the one that we want to preview, which is our friend model. All right. I guess we can just run it, see what happens. Just to say we did, which would be command option. No? Really? Oh, excuse me. You know what? Hopefully Crisp is editing that out for me. I think that only shows up if we have a view. So we got to go to where are the views? Model. No, maybe. I thought so. Maybe it's... Which one? Or model container? Model container. Not in book. Setup scope. Let's just try any of these. So this one should work. Oh wait, no, I'm not sure allow save is the same as autosave. No documentation available causes crash. Okay, let's run that one for sure. Okay, something's happening. Oh, build failed. Well, he wasn't lying. All right, so let's close that one. This one has it. Okay, this one should work too. There we go. Okay, so it's working to some extent. Okay, that's what I wanted to know, at least for now. All right, model container modifier. So far, you've seen a limited number of ways to create and configure your model containers. Remember, the model container object is your main toolbox to manage settings with your persistent storage and help you get models into and out of the model context memory. This section will explore even more ways you can customize your container and settings for Swift data. Setting a model container. So this is what it should look like. Jenny, Jason. So those are all the inserts that we did. Yeah, is that what? Jenny, Jason, yeah, okay. So that's the data that we inserted into context. Here's an example of how the person name components can be used in the view. Okay, so inside the body, inside the nav stack, inside the list of friends. So we're saying for every friend object in, we want to render text views for them, which is what these are here. So text dot, or sorry, friend dot view name. Oh, okay, and then it has a format parameter that we can pass to a text view. Dot name. Medium. Okay. And then down in the preview, the model container has all of your Swift data settings. You create a model container, and then you add it to your app using the model container modifier. This modifier also makes the model container's model context, which is the playground for changes, available through the environment. This modifier also makes the model container's model context available. Oh boy. Excuse me. Also makes the model containers model context. What do you mean? Oh, right. My bad. Up here, the yet another macro. But yeah, okay. So when we declare the environment macro, model context. Okay, so if that's there, this is how we can hook in our mock data through the environment macro. Okay. Preview and app setup. You should be able to apply what you learn in this chapter to not only previews, but also to your app file where your first view is displayed. The remainder of this chapter will have all of the examples inside a preview because it is easier to see and test. Okay. The important thing to remember is that this modifier can be attached to any view or even subview, which you will see later on. Model container. Wait, so we call the macro preview with data autosave on in memory. Weird. I guess that's how you. We've not really, or I don't remember covering this yet, but passing in instructions in the quotes, maybe, or I don't know what that does, honestly. And then model container intro, so we make an instance of that with this modifier. Okay, so we've seen that. And then in the app itself, model container friends model preview. Can be attached to any view or even subview. That's cool. So I guess in theory you could, I mean, like, right, if you wrote all of your code and then you just went around testing each component by attaching the model container, putting some mock data in it. That's pretty cool. Okay. If that's how it works. Model container review. This preview property creates a container and adds data to it through its context. Pardon me ever so kindly. It is configured to store the data in memory only using the model configuration. It is configured to store the data in memory only using the model configuration. Oh, duh, right. Through this parameter here is stored in memory only, set to true, but by default. So if we didn't call this out, then it would by default autosave. Yeah, okay, there it is right there. By default, autosave is turned on This means you don't have to explicitly call the save function after inserting, which I like that. I just, I suppose if you suddenly see that your, Xcode projects are like 90 gig, you probably just need to blow away some of the dev data or the junk dev data that you've been generating, since save is on by default. Or just do this, but yeah, I probably will do that a few times before I get the rhythm there. But I like that. I like that it's on by default. Let container. Yeah, because I did not know that about web apps, so I would, with HMR, the hot module reloading said, it'd be doing stuff, and then, oh yeah, hell yeah, brother, working out some example, and then I restart the dev server, and then all my shit's gone, so that can suck balls. So I like that it's on by default. So one spread model.self, self-referencing to the object itself, and then config, model config. Oh, I see. There are three main parts used to set up Swift data settings. Wait. There are three main parts used to set up Swift data settings are. That reads kind of funny. There are three main parts used to set up Swift data settings are schema, the model definitions. So that would be here. Okay. And so that looks like what? That is just what we looked at earlier, right? Just friend model. Okay. And model config. Schema model settings. This is the... Okay. So we're referring to container.mainContext.insert to these method calls as the model configuration. Okay. And then number 3, model container. Model container contains the schema, model config. So, okay, so that just wraps the 3, because we see that here with this nice little piece of art here. Model container holds both the schema, which is our models, and then the config, which is our method calls. Yeah, again, that's kind of been the weird thing for me, because we learned so much. I guess it's meant to maybe to teach even if you don't know Swift, but the fact that we know the underlying components, it's it's not a dig against the book at all whatsoever. It's a great book, but it's just context switching, because we're looking at it through the lens of SwiftUI now, which, if you're not aware, Swift is open source, so you can go and look at the implementation and whatever. But SwiftUI itself, the framework, is not open source, so we only see the public API that Apple exposes. And so, in saying that, when we work with SwiftUI, we have to. They're kind of rebranding the stuff that we already learned, because it's, in some sense, it is going to work the same as it does in Swift, but there are components of SwiftUI that change common behavior that we learned about Swift. Like, some of the rules are different. Like, for example, we just saw it, I think, yeah, here. So in this case, I already forgot now. But actually, I think I know where I saved it, though. Did I? Board mix. Or no. Replit. I think I saved it to Replit, because I was going through Gemini. I was trying to, this is a separate topic while I load this up, but I was trying to develop a workflow, not develop, but develop as in just figure out how to set it up. A workflow where I can just record everything, because I got these Hollyland mics. They're these little, the little professional looking mobile mics that they have when people do interviews, or you'll see some people wearing them like on their just the little clip mics. They're really high quality and they're wireless. And what's neat about them is each little mic, it comes with two. So you get a receiver and then you get two of those mobile mics. Each one has 8 gigs of onboard storage. So you can set it up where as soon as you pull it out of the case, it'll start recording. And so in theory, you could, like in my case, I want to be able to capture just all the spoken word around me and then have AI ingest all of those audio files, transcribe it, and give me key point summaries effectively, which you can do. I mean, there's certain ways to do it, but in terms of the actual implementation, I wanted to figure out a way to get Gemini to do it instead of OpenAI's Whisper, right, which I think would be the next logical choice. But yeah, anyway, I think it should be here. Conversation. But this is what I like. So like if you ask Gemini about code stuff and you like the answer and want to save it, you can export it directly to Replit into a little editor, which is neat. So I'm going to start doing that and build up these profiles here, and then I can share these with, anybody. Let's see, in context, what's the difference between query and query? Oh, right. Yeah, we did ask about that too. And they are different, but we learned that we really don't need to concern ourselves with query, but this is not what I was looking for. So let's go back. Maybe it's quicker if I just go to Gemini. Edit X11. I've been fucking with this fucking Linux. I found a good solution, but I was dicking around trying to get RDP to work. So fucking just over the top. But yeah, if you need a good cross-platform free way to access your machines via remote desktop, look up No Machine, all one word. No Machine Remote Desktop. It's awesome. Okay. RDP, black screen fix. No. It's probably down here. Open-ended. Diagnose. Catnip. Catnip. No. Swift leading underscore. Oh, well, this is not the one I was thinking about, but this is a good example. How does this? Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, so in normal Swift, like when we learned through the book, through the Big Nerd Ranch Guide, if we saw something with a leading underbar, that was just, it didn't have any kind of semantic meaning in the Swift context. It was just convention that people would put an underbar ahead of things that were implementation details that you didn't necessarily need to be concerned with if you were just, say, a caller on a function. But that's going away really, because now you can just label things as private, and those are part of the language itself. But in SwiftUI, it actually has functionality attached to it. Referencing the property wrapper. Yeah, so when you use a property wrapper like @state, @binding, @observed, SwiftUI automatically creates an underlying storage variable for that property. This underlying variable is prefixed with an underscore. Yeah, so this is something the compiler is going to create for us, but you should still be aware that it's there. So if you have @state property wrapper around a variable called count, then we'll also have this hidden variable, underbar count, that will actually hold the raw value. So the count will hold, I guess, the object, but oh shit, no. Hopefully I didn't say that. But the underbar hidden variable will actually have the raw value if, for whatever reason, you need to access it directly. Accessing wrapped value. But whatever, you can go back. That was last episode, I believe. So if you want to know more about that, then it's there. But yeah, I don't want to go backwards because I just don't want to do it. I just don't. All right, let's review the model container. Maybe available through the environment. Okay, so I guess that's where we were because... No, wait, I came looking for this as an example. We were a little further ahead. Where were we? We just read that one. Yeah, okay. Okay, right. Okay, so the model container contains both the schema, which is our types, and the model config, which is our method calls. I kind of like to understand that better, but part of the issue, I think, is, or part of the challenge, I'll say, generally speaking, which I suppose, doing this stream is part of the solution because it's really the only way to solve it. Meaning, with SwiftUI, since it's so new and they changed it a lot. If you look back at the history of it, it's really changed a lot. And one can only assume that Apple is going to continue to change it quite a bit. So, that's probably going to be our biggest annoyance with using it going forward. But, what are you going to do? It does so much for you. I can't imagine, obviously they're not trying to make it inconvenient to use. So it's just one of those things. You just got to keep up with it. But I'd rather keep up with an API that does as much as it does for me versus going and learning like Raylib and doing it myself. So you got to have realistic goals, although it would be cool to learn Raylib, but if I can do all that in SwiftUI, then, I'm cool with that. All right, schema. Single schema. You've seen this before. That model definition is used to create a schema object. What are they talking about? They're talking about model containers. So this method call inside a preview. Well, hold on. I got to know what this is because we've not seen that. That's really strange to have a, in quotes, inside the tuple. Like, are those arguments? Are those parameters? What is that doing? So I just want to ask real quick, if you don't mind. Okay. So in SwiftUI, in SwiftUI, what is the meaning of the text inside the quotes? The code below. You know what's neat? I was wondering if it can do this, and I think it can. But one of the reasons I switched over, well, because OpenAI, like the fucking Sam Altman, the CEO, he just has a fucking face I want to punch, brother. I don't know. I just don't like the guy. And the way that he talks about it, and when you watch his interviews, I get so fucking annoyed because he's just such a fucking bot. And he's talking about AI as if it's actual artificial intelligence and not just a giant ass predictive text model. Clearly he has, a company to run and he wants to boost up that stock price. So of course he's going to talk about it like it can cure cancer and shit. But those who know, and it's really fucking annoying watching his bitch ass talk about it. Okay, there. That's my hate for the day. There, I said it. All right, I'm not programmed to assist with that. And here is another example of why sometimes Gemini is annoying. Sometimes it'll just say shit like that, or it'll say, "I'm just an AI. I don't understand what you mean." But then you just ask it again, and then it'll work. But I did give it a audio file the other day, and it gave me a pretty impressive. It was a 20-minute meeting that I had. Generated a very nice transcript and also some key points that were probably like 80% accurate. So it saved me a lot of time, got me a lot of brownie points. So yeah. And for $20 a month, you can get the advanced version and 4 terabytes of Google One storage, and it can look at your Gmail. I know, oh my god, but hey, I don't care. So because Google's been taking my data for years, I might as well get something out of it too. But it can crawl your G drive also. So if you think about it, okay, this is an aside, I know, but let me just show you this real quick. Because this is something that I wanted to do for a hot minute. Oh, whoops. Okay, so there's this okay, let me say this real quick. I am not recommending that you sign up for this service. I actually think you should not because I'm pissed at them. It's a note-taking app called Mem AI. And the initial premise was really cool. It was a, typical note-taking app where you can, to-dos and task management and notes. But what's really neat about it is it also introduced this concept of they give you 100 gigs with the pro version, right? So you can have 100 gigs of just raw text. That's what you have to give it, raw text. It would then train on your data. And the idea is that you can chat with it, but it doesn't have access to the open web like ChatGPT or a Gemini. It only has available to it, however recent the model is that they've used. So I guess, I don't know, at this point it's probably GPT-4 or whatever. I know that they're a company that they didn't get bought by Facebook, or by Meta, but they've been heavily invested in Meta. So I think Meta owns the majority of this company. Well, they had these features where they intended to allow it to read your email also and your calendar, and then also you could text it, so you could text stuff to it. So it'd give you a certain phone number, so WhatsApp or Telegram, if you had either of those. You could integrate with, you would just have an address relative to your account, and you could just text it and then send quick things to your Mem AI, which is cool. I like that. So quick little notes, you could send it in. And then a couple of other, what was the other one that there was a quick capture feature. So if you're in the browser, anywhere in the browser, you could just enter some hotkey and it would immediately capture whatever your selection was on the web page and also send it to Mem. And so, in theory, you're sending everything here, and then you can come here and just ask it how to do stuff, or ask it to find something that you've sent in, and you don't necessarily have to go and find it, right? And so what I wanted to do was have which I know you can do this locally now. I don't feel like it's worth the effort at this point because this was before I started learning Swift, but I wanted to have like a little assistant that understood a particular language and just see how good it could be if I only gave it a very specific set of instruction on how to write a certain programming language. So OCaml is a good example. So OCaml, I go here. Wait, what? There's way more than that. Unless they didn't. Is it MoCamel? Oh, here we go. Okay. So all of these are, because, there's a certain limit to the size, right, of what you can send in per note. But all of this text is from, I just parsed out this, I forget, I lost the link. OCaml. Oh, here it is right there. Yeah. So this is an free open source book that, is it Cornell? Cornell or some big college. This is like an actual, this guy right here, he's a professor at, I think it's Cornell. But it's a top tier school, and during COVID, the computer science course needed to be remote, of course. And so this guy here, this teacher, this professor, made like 200 some odd videos, and then also made this awesome book. It's free. You can go to, I don't know if you can see that, cs3110.github.io. cs3110.github.io. And you can get this freaking awesome book on OCaml. So it's part of the CS course, but he does a really good job. So you go through this whole book, and it has over like 200 different videos where he talks you through and in writing teaches you OCaml. And I always tell people this when I was on my kick about how YouTube, I know this is not very self-serving, but how YouTube and just generally speaking streamers like myself, although I'm different in the sense that I'm not trying to purport that I'm teaching you something, I'm reading other teachings aloud, so I do think it's a little different. But what I tell people is if you want to see what a really good teacher looks like, come watch this guy. And then you'll see there's a stark contrast between legitimate teachers, people that are passionate about it and people that have been doing it for years. And, it's a discipline, it's a skill like anything else. Come and watch this guy teach. Read his book. And you'll be like, oh my God. Imagine if I had that. So anyway, I'm sure, obviously everyone's going to have a different level of ability, but I'm just saying, I think generally speaking, people, we've kind of forgotten that it's a discipline and a skill because it's been very watered down. There's so many people trying to pop off or get popular by just making content, or even if it's good natured, it can still be shitty good natured content or good, well-intended content. And it's just not very good. But yeah, if you want to see what a really good teacher looks like, if you want to see what the real bar is out there, come check this out. Okay, but anyway, that's an aside to the aside. But yeah, so I wanted to take this book, right, put it in Mem, and that's why there's 40 different parts, because I break it up, and then I can ask it how to do stuff, or have it do stuff for me. So yeah, use OCaml to write a function that renders a square in the terminal. Let's see if that works. And so now you could do something like this with, because my thought at the time was this service in particular is $100 for a year, or a little less than that. I think it was $96 for a year. And so I was thinking, I could go out, put a wrapper around this, sell it to companies, and I would be transparent about it. But whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't have to explain myself to you guys. But no, I was thinking that could be some version of that could be rather profitable. I didn't go that route because I want to understand it. I want to learn it. But that was just a thought, right? And so I think it would work. But now you can do this locally. So you can download Ollama, coincidentally from Meta, and you could just do this locally now. You don't have to pay a web service. But to me, it was neat that this came as a package with the fact that you can text to it, the fact that you can email it, stuff like that. Because if you think about it from an enterprise perspective, you would need different. You're not just working on a machine. You would need a way to have multiple people sending information to the same source. But whatever, I digress. That is no longer in my purview. But if you want to take that $1 million idea, brother, go for it. I'm sure a lot of other people are doing that already. But let me see if this will work now. Oh wait, Utah, is it? Maybe it'll work here. This is just some little app. It's supposed to be a OCaml compiler. Let's see if it works. I've never tried it. Okay, whatever. That was lame. But whatever, that was the intent, just to see if it would work. That probably does. I'm just not. You probably have to actually compile it, not just. It can't just render something like that. But anyway, yeah, don't buy this service, because what they did, I actually thought it was kind of dog shit. They just made this announcement hey guys, we decided that we're going to rip out a lot of the functionality that was there and that you paid for, which I paid a year in advance for. So obviously I was pissed and let them know about it. But yeah, don't sign up for that. I think that's really the biggest risk. I mean, for me, like I said, I don't really care necessarily. I'm not going to sit here and virtue signal or privacy. I'm willing to make that trade, bro. If a big company wants my data, if I can get a good service out of it, get some value back from it, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a neckbeard and that nobody has access to my data. I'm just not. And I was willing to trade that. Absolutely. But yeah, that was the whole thought process there. But now I'm thinking, really, because this was like a year ago. So now Gemini should still be able to do that in that same sense, because now it can just crawl your whole G drive. So you could just, instead of having to break it out and all that, you could just have a giant ass text file, or just a PDF or mini PDFs, and just tell Gemini to go read that PDF, and based off of that content, write me a something. But anyway, I digress. At last, we've come back to the original point. In SwiftUI, what is the meaning of the text inside the quotes? Inside the quotes in the code below. As a label or title for the specific preview. Okay, that makes more sense. So it's not arguments or whatever, it's just a label. Yeah, and I have to pee badly. Boy, do I have to. So I will BRB. Oh my gosh. BRB. Wait, detach. Hunyai. Oh, bit of a tight squeeze. Ah, ah, ah. Yes. Thank you, my love. I thought I had. Can never keep track of my. I can't wait till. I mean, I just got this phone, so I guess it'll be a while, but I no longer have to have that fucking lightning cable. I was telling Liv this the other day. I would pay good money just to have an iPhone that didn't have that fucking orbital satellite on the back of it. The fucking cameras like making it all lopsided. I just want it to lay fucking flat, dude. It can't even charge on this. Yeah, it really pisses me off. Come on now. Maybe if I lay it flat. Almost. Come on. Fuck you, Tim. All right, so let's just forget it. Just let it die. Let it die. Let it die. Let it shrivel up and die. All right, we'll get back to this book here. Okay, single schema. You've seen this before. The model definition is used to create a schema object. Model container, friend model self. Oh, right. We read that, but we were learning. Okay, this is just a label then for the preview. Okay. And you can preview your schema object manually and pass it into a model container. You can define your schema object manually and pass it into a model container. The code is doing the same as above. Okay, so these are one and the same. Separated schema, let schema equal schema, big schema. So this creates a schema implicitly if we just call the method model container the for parameter and then pass it the model. But also we can create a constant variable and set that equal to schema type or whatever schema is. And let's go look at what that breaks down to in the dev docs. Schema. Big schema, there we go. Expose yourself to me, brother. All right, so schema. An object that maps model classes to data in the model store. That maps model classes to data in the model store and helps with the migration of that data between releases. It's probably the most straightforward thing we've seen in in SwiftUI, honestly. So, okay. Fair enough then. And actually remember, so we learned what's neat about Swift really is just great. I mean, I know I'm biased because I'm fucking streaming it, but I mean, seriously, because I've tried, like I told you guys, many languages, and this final class, what's nice about it, because I wanted to avoid using classes no matter what, just because in a past life, like for 8 years, worked for a company where our main product was written in Visual Fox Pro, not only a dead language, but also object oriented. And we would always have this bullshit with classes, with inheritance, issues with inheritance. It was just complete fuckery. But anyway, what's nice about Swift is it gives you this option of using classes, right? So you can get the benefit of not copying everything. But if you want to eliminate the risk, meaning at the application code level, eliminate the risk of classes effectively with data races in some sense. Or no, not data races. That's not the right term. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it's both. I'm not sure. But either way, you can effectively disable inheritance or subclasses. That's what it is. Specifically, you can disable the ability for a class to have a subclass. So then you don't have to worry about, the whole inheritance piece by just using this final keyword. Pretty straightforward, eh? So yeah, Swift is awesome. All right, so let me close that. And now that we've seen what that's doing, this makes a lot more sense. So implicitly, or we can just say, hey, this is an actual schema explicitly for this array of friend model.self. And then the container. Yeah, so we just kind of broke out for schema, which is what we define. I kind of like that. I mean, it's not a ton more code. I think any sense where we can break out the pieces individually and see them, I'm going to prefer that, even though it's a bit more code. But I just don't like this whole notion of implicit things happening everywhere. Multiple schemas. And if your view is displaying data from multiple models, you can create one schema for all models used. Here are 2 different ways you can do this. Preview, no data, multiple models for schema. The model container. Same method call for, and then we just split the models, comma, delimited inside of an array still. That's not too bad. And then multiples, same thing. Schema now is just, okay. So what exactly is a schema object? Good question. Simply put, the schema creates a map between your model class and the data that is stored. Yeah, so a map between, I guess, kind of like what you would see if you looked in a database table, because you have that direct tie between, the field value or the field label, what's it called, and what's in it. So coming from a SQL background, that's easiest way for me to think of it. But yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It can also help when you want to create a new version of your model and migrate data from one version to another. Okay. Why am I yawning? I could decent amount of sleep. Model config. The model container modifier will create the model configuration object used in the in-memory parameter. The model container modifier. The model container modifier will create the model config object using the in-memory parameter. Okay. Oh wait, these are different. I knew it looked a little different. So there's a in-memory true, but there's also a is stored in memory only parameter. But, oh, this is for model container. This one is for model config. The model container modifier will create the model config object using the in-memory parameter. Oh, so you can use this to set this if you don't want to write the config itself. Is that? Seems like that's what we're saying. Or you can define the model config object separately and pass it into the model container. I see. Yeah. Okay, I know what I just said, but I mean, honestly, in this case, I don't see why. Well, I guess because you could potentially use this for more things than just whether or not you're going to persist the data. And so maybe it would be a value to break it out in that case, but otherwise, I mean, I prefer this one this time, but boy, I'm a waffler. All right, but let's see model container. Yeah, here we go. I want to look at, just see what model config is. So at a base level, it's a struct with an initializer, and it takes optional string, and then schema, a schema optional, a true false on stored in memory only, allow save. Okay, so these are all, okay, yeah, these are all different things we can set on these. Allow save, group container. This option, the option to use for detecting the configurations, group container, CloudKit database. Ooh. The option to use for detecting configurations, CloudKit for possible values C. Yeah. Yeah, it's really, it's a big framework. A lot of stuff in it, yeah. Notice the schema is defined right in the parameter. Another option is to separate this out too. So the container schema model. Okay. Okay, so that's that chapter. See, aren't these books great? These are just great. So that was one, well, really, I won't count that one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 slides, and my brain is about to explode. Maybe that speaks more to me than anything else, but it's still a lot of information, but I love the way that it's presented visually. You know what I mean? It just helps me think about it and digest it in a much better way. So I'm gonna call it there, but we're not gonna end just yet. I just want to dink around a bit with I mean, we'll pick it up here next time tomorrow, but now I want to go look at or show y'all some of these apps, these developer apps. So I think I'll save the best for last, or my opinion on the best one so far. So we'll start with the one that is really made for iPad, but it runs on the Mac. So this is the Interactful one. And so this one is neat because you can, like, everything that you see on the left-hand side is in relation to SwiftUI. So these are all of the, what SwiftUI calls views, which if you come from the web dev world, these would just be elements, UI elements, like a div or a H1 or a paragraph, you know, all that stuff. But you can, you know, go through and see all of them, and the coolest part is you can click the little document button. Let me make it full screen, or full screen. Or no, actually I like it better right there, yeah. So the document button will take you directly to the official documentation, Apple's documentation, which is really nice. So that's a big time saver unto itself. But you can also then mess around with the style, right? So you can change the certain properties that are applicable to, in this case, a button, action. And then if you hit code, it'll give you the code for whatever, you know, modified button that you just kind of put together there. Isn't that freaking sweet? So like, let's do a bigger one. Open navigation split view. So that's what it should look like. Content detail. And then just all the code for it. Look at all that. All you gotta do is just take it. Just take it. Isn't that beautiful? But let's do another one. Did it just crash? Sure did. Well, whatever. It's an iPad app, so I'm not going to be too hard on it. But anyway, you get the picture. So you can go through and learn and also kind of semi-build it. At least gets you a a head start on, you know, the general structure of the code and how it should look. And I like these because these kinds of tools help you a lot, especially in a sense where SwiftUI is going to be changing a lot. So obviously the dudes or the gals or whatever that built these apps are staying closer to it and probably understand it better than we do. And so it's nice to have tools to lean on to help you build out your front end in a guarded kind of way. And so the next one is, actually I think these are kind of even, but they do two very different things. So there's Fabula, and then I'm going to show you the companion. This is probably the most powerful one, honestly, because it really, like, it takes what Interactful, the one I just showed you, does, and then like puts it on steroids, like Schwarzenegger style, you know, all beefed up, because this one is actually showing you not just all the views, it's showing you literally everything about SwiftUI. So yes, the views, but the shapes, scenes, protocols, brother, protocols, come on. Property wrappers, actually that one might be even better, because just understanding the, you know, state probably is going to be a big one, and being able to kind of dink around with this and learn about it. So this is also official Apple Docs, but you don't even have to call it, you know, it's just there. So I like this interface. It's even better. Not that the other one's bad, but you know, this one's designed for desktop. So I think that comes out a bit more intuitive, and also it's also telling you what versions that the thing is compatible with, which is just, I mean, it's great. I mean, I would always have this up. Always, brother. Well, I mean, I don't know. Yeah. But it's still very, very useful. Now, this was a paid app. I want to say it was like $50 for a lifetime or something like that. It might have been more than that, $100. I don't know. But either way, I mean, I think it's worth it. But this is why I was saying I struggle a bit to go through, you know, the books. Although I do want to learn it. I think it's fun to learn it. But knowing that you have something like this, I mean, you could probably get pretty far. I'm not saying you can make a production app by just using this tool, but you could definitely, I bet you could make one. You could have one appear, meaning like the interface. You could definitely build the interface just coming into it cold, knowing a little bit about, you know, how to build programs, and just learn here. So I don't know. I'm just impressed. I'm just tickled pink by this thing. I think it's awesome. Look at this stuff. But you can do a lot of the same here, like add on toggle. But I guess it's not, maybe it's not giving you the, yeah, okay, I guess it doesn't change the code, but that's not a good example. Where's, okay, let's look at the views. So if we look at views, date picker, localize labels. I mean, look at all this stuff. Date picker. Where is the, oh, you got to hit the little play button. Okay, let's see what that looks like. So is a playground. Oh, sick. So it's actually going to give you a playground file. And then you can run this. So play. It's doing something. Give it a minute or 2 or 5. And look at that. Isn't that sick? And then you can dig into the data and whatnot. So, I mean, this is really powerful. I think probably one of the best tools in conjunction with the playground files that I've seen. So this is really handy. So you can go pretty far. I mean, you can see how this could get stretched out pretty quickly or pretty easily. Okay, so anyway, that is the SwiftUI companion. we'll probably mainly live in there after we get through the SwiftUI book, and then the other one is a bit more esoteric, but this is Fabula. And so I'm not even sure what it's supposed to do. It just is cool. Like I'm not sure if you read the app description in the App Store, it doesn't really even say what it's really meant to do. It's just like I don't know why these are. Maybe they're submitted from some community. I don't know, but for some reason it lists the dates like that. But it's just showing you different animations in SwiftUI. Isn't that cool? And then if you come up here to, I think it's this thing. Yeah. So if you click here, you can get the code for it. And I guess, what is this? Oh, maybe, so I guess this is just an amalgamation of different repos. Maybe not all embedded in the tool, but not, I mean, that doesn't necessarily matter, but they're obviously keeping track of the submissions. But yeah, this is just super cool because there's so much that you can, just for ideas and whatnot. Rain, what? Shape generator, add shape. That's pretty cool, honestly. What is this comment? What does that do? No messages. Anyone who uses Fabula app can freely use the chat function. However, messages that are not helpful to other users may be deleted for smooth op. For oh, I see. That's cool. Ooh. Apply. Yeah, like what is this code even? Look at this. And this is all pure Swift. This is pretty sick. Oh my gosh. Oh man. There's a shake one. Debounce. Ooh, that's cool too. Man, so much stuff. Flared circle. What does this do? Okay. Circular list. Oh, that's like the if you ever opened up I think it's this, or where have I seen that? I think it's a different, it's a setting. You can choose to have it animate differently, but it looks just like that view on Mac OS, the circle view, tab view. But yeah, I mean this one is just awesome. So check this out if you want to see what's possible in SwiftUI. But I'm pretty sure this one was also it costed money, but I wonder what the difference is here. Animation. Chassis. I see. Okay, so just a collection of different. Through Fabula app. Oh, it's like a platform. Yeah. Oh, no shit. You can have a. Wow. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I might have to dink with this a bit more. What else can you do, brother? Close that. What is this? Oh, a different view. It's cool. Favorites, stacked. Yeah, I don't know what those are doing, but SwiftUI code collection. Oh, I see. So these squares are UI UX. This is play. and study. The formalism used the concepts of fabula and use it as a way to develop narrative construction or classified materials and compositions into fabula. The totality of microscopic events listed in causality was called a fabula, and the narrative arrangement of these motifs in an artistic way was called Uzet. This app is a personal project to learn the technical ingredients of SwiftUI and derive creative results. Okay. But yeah, I think this one speaks for itself in terms of what you can learn from it, what you can get out of it. So server usage. What does this do? Oh, then you can just share it. Sweet. Yeah, so anyway, so that's that one. Let's see. Details Pro. This was like a UI builder, I think. Like an actual, like if you wanted to export something and actually build an interface. Yeah, this is. Yeah, like more like a designer, like a Flutter type thing. Which a lot of time, I don't know, these kind of end up being more complicated than just learning the code, in my experience. But I guess if you, I mean, if you wanted to do something like this, you could. Just an interface. So you don't have to necessarily, I mean, I'm sure you could build a whole interface using this thing such that you didn't have to code at all, if that's your thing. But I got this, I took a look at it, and then decided, I think I'll just learn Swift first and then maybe come back to this. But otherwise, probably just end up using tools like Fabula or SwiftUI Companion. But cool nonetheless, and just know that it's an option and that it's out there. Okay, what else I got? There's a lot of okay, Fireworks app. I think this one's kind of like Fabula. Now this is cool, man. What? I'm not sure what's happening, but macOS. Is this all, I don't know. Copy. Is that it? It's just the fireworks, literally the fireworks. Oh, there's a few different ones. Smoke. Hold Control or right click button and drag to reset. What the heck? That is super cool, man. What will they think of next? Look at that. Let cell 1 equal CA emitter cell. Contents, name, birth rate. Yeah, that's incredible. What else is there? Start. Ooh, a comment. And you can see the values change in real time. That's fucking wild, dude. See, we're going to get to this level and then do cool shit like this too. Then we'll push out some, some freebs for the community. But yeah, isn't that cool? So Fireworks is another one. There's not a ton of options, but again, I mean, for what you're learning here, you could take those and do so much with it. So, ooh, the flame. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so close that bad boy. What else do we have here? System design. I don't think that one was. What was this one? I think this, I don't know what this is for actually. Single view with modal. Oh, this was to get you started with an app, I think. Give you a starting structure for the app. I'm pretty sure. Navigation view, content view, sheet view. Content view. Okay, so I guess it's kind of in the same vein as Details Pro, but a little more simplistic. I kind of like it's better actually, but it probably also doesn't do quite as much. So, but I don't know that. Carousel. Ooh, new component app. Okay, well this is pretty. Yeah, let me not format it for full Xcode source and image only. That is neat. Yeah. And then you can. Yeah, well, I'll have to do another stream where I just dig more into these because I don't want to give them a bad representation, one versus the other. But yeah, I suppose you can just think of it as I bought them both, so you don't have to. And then next time we can just cover what the capabilities are because there's definitely some overlap here. So you certainly don't need them all. I am just a frivolous spender, I guess. But yeah, so system designer. This is what we'll use. At least we'll try. I've never used it in depth, but we can use this to design systems. Apparently, to create a system, click on the plus button or click here. Okay. System name. MRP Panda. Okay. An application is a system. Once you've created one, your next step is to create a schema. To create a schema, click here. Okay. Beta 1. Destroy method, error event. By default, all your modes inherit from components. It adds to your models a set of APIs to manage the component lifecycle and require components. You can remove this inheritance for your needs. Oh, so it all, oh. Okay. What I want to do is actually, this one's pretty interesting. I want to go to the website and just see what it does actually, because design your system with ease. System Designer uses UML, a standard to define your model, so you probably already know how to design in System Designer, even if you've never run it. The definition of the model is stored in a human-readable format called IMSON. IMSON. With IMSON, you can define types, classes, one-to-one, one-to-many. Oh, okay, so this is, okay. Code the behavior of your system. Once you've created your model, System Designer generates the skeletons of all your methods. You only have then to add your code to implement them. System Designer provides helpers to manage your components. You can easily navigate through components to create your system. Create components graphically. That's cool. So this kind of like, I was trying to do this with Mermaid.js, but this is, I need to remember, actually I'm going to save this out here because I could actually use this in a lot more areas than just for the stream. I could use this at work. So there's no need to code. No need to code. Create a component in System Designer. is like creating a document in a NoSQL database. In fact, System Designer acts as a ODM, Object Document Mapper, to manage your components as NoSQL documents. Father Vader, first name Luke, last name. Okay, so just key value, and then you can run your system directly from System Designer. Export to JavaScript, HTML, JSON, or GraphViz. Sick. What is GraphViz? Is that another open source graph visualization software? Okay. Is a way of representing structural information as diagrams or abstract graphs and networks. It has important applications in networking. Okay. Oh, cool. So this would really be the vehicle for getting it shared and like embedding it in our PowerPoints. Hell yeah, brother. Okay, so then actually I want to save that for sure. And this one too. Okay, but that's what it is. Design on the go. System can be used on Windows, Mac. Oh, it's on Windows. Ouch. That is exciting. I didn't know it was on Windows. Even fucking better. I wonder if I have to buy it multiple times though. I don't see a download button on. Whatever. I won't do that to y'all on stream, but let's see. Let's go back to it. Okay, so your schema. Add. Cancel. Component. They don't want. Okay. Actually, I should probably put this under my You're Such a Tool stream. And then actually, yeah, I think I will do that. But this is, I'm excited. This is actually what I was looking for, and I completely forgot that I bought something to do this. Okay, so let's see what else is on there. I'm going to leave that open, matter of fact. Patterns. This is, oh, that's just for parsing, but it's probably still handy, but no need to look at it right now. In motion. This is for animation. I won't dig into that one, but that one will be handy also. The Play app. What is that? I don't know. Launch Buddy. It's like a project manager. Nah, I don't want to see that one. Enchanted app. Nah. Filler. This one's to generate data, so you can make a bunch of fake data if you need to. Ooh, MonoDraw. What is this? MonoDraw. Intro document. Oh, ASCII art. Yeah. So, thank you for using MonoDraw. Apps features, if you have questions, blah, blah, blah. Block background, custom background. I was wondering how the hell people make this stuff. Like, surely they don't go and there you go. So, so it takes whatever you create here and then turns it into ASCII art, which is just text, so you could put it basically anywhere. Pretty sweet. Ooh, look at that. Dang, wow, every shape can be raw edited. You can do so using the pencil, bucket fill, or by. Yeah, I really should be living in both of these tools because this is what I want. This is what I want. Sick. Okay, so then we'll come back to this at some point and use that more, but that's cool. Okay, I do kind of remember buying that one though, actually. Okay. Anyways, guys, I think we're going to wrap it there. Thanks for coming out, checking me out. Drop me a follow. We'll be back tomorrow for a few more hours with SwiftUI for episode 66. Otherwise, take care. Preach. And see you soon.